Podcast. It's your boy AJ.
This is Eli.
What happened to your title?
Hey, look, I always introduce myself as Bougie Baby Daddy, but I'm Eli today. I'm a little sophisticated.
You're Eli today. So as you can tell, we are in the studio today. So we're doing a home and home. We're here in DC. We're gonna go down to Raleigh, down to Eli's place.
That's right.
We take care of stuff there. But today we got somebody special for me. Believe it or not, at this point, and it's been like this for the past 10 years, this is the patriarch of my family. My aunt, I don't know if you thought about it like that. If you noticed that.
I sure did. I did.
Yeah, you're the patriarch of the family.
Right.
Ever since my grandfather passed, he's it. We had, it was just a bunch of sisters. So we all grew up with just our mothers. Mm-hmm. So when it comes to a father, there's no other person that I could talk to that's a family person outside of him.
Feel old as shit. I mean, I am old, but am I allowed to?
Yeah, you can cuss on here.
Hey, speak your truth. Speak your truth.
Just making sure. Yeah.
Yeah. So from the reason why I listen to Jodeci all the time, or
That's my shit. Hey.
Or Guy, or all of that, it was this guy here. But he has a very interesting story. This is, for those who don't know, this is my cousin Gerald Crumlin. Was it Junior?
The second.
The second. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I'm put my whole gun in.
Yeah, he went on ahead and told everybody who you were all the way.
Man.
Yeah, I mean, you look.
Don't go Googling me. Yes.
But yes, this is the patriarch of my family. But he's been gone for a long time because he had 20 years in the military. And so we're definitely gonna get into that, you know, how you parent from afar and all of that. But the first thing we're gonna ask you, the first question we ask everybody is, what does it mean to you to be a father?
Oh man, that means everything. Man, I think that's out of all the things that you could possibly take for granted in life, being a father is not one of them, you know? Like that's, man, yeah, that's the most important thing in my life, most important aspect of my life, something that I don't take lightly. As a matter of fact, when my firstborn came into this world, that's when I kind of reevaluated my life, kind of changed things for me, so it helped to give me that level of responsibility that forced me to do the right thing, or at least attempt to do the right thing. Yeah.
It's funny.
Man, that kind of shook me up right there. Yeah. Just answering that, man.
I'm listening to you. I'm like, yo, you feeling it? I'm like, oh man.
I ain't want to be emotional in that, but
it's all right. It's all right. It's a safe space.
It's funny because that was my exact answer. Was everything.
That's exactly why it was interesting to hear. Yeah.
That was my exact answer was everything. But well, you did have your father in your life.
Yeah, and he's in my life now. Like me and my pops, man, we have an awesome relationship. You know, I don't necessarily confide in him, but I do take, you know, I guess cues from him. You know, things that maybe he didn't express to me verbally. You know, I just looked at what some of the things he did that maybe I didn't agree with when I was younger. They still helped to, you know, guide me in a way, you know. So he's like a, you know, a friend, if I could say that. Yeah. Got you. Yeah.
So if you look back at it and think about it, who taught you to actually how to be a father?
Oh, that was my grandfather. Yeah, that was my grandfather. Yeah, that's the greatest man that I've ever known in my life.
Wow. So
yeah, my hero.
When you think about the lessons that he gave you, like what are some of the gems that he gave you to kind of mold you?
Man, again, my grandfather was not a verbal person, kind of, you know, but he set those examples, you know, and I'm one of those people. I don't necessarily need you to say things to me, you know. I do assessments, and the one thing that my grandfather did that I apply to my life right now is my grandfather took care of my grandmother. You know, so much so that my grandmother, heck, she didn't get her driver's license until she was, what, 47?
Oh, wow.
46, 47?
That sounds like a country thing.
Yeah, you know. And, you know, she almost drove into a building or something like that. Inside an apartment building, as a matter of fact. But, yeah, my grandfather, he spoiled my grandmother, man. I mean, he showed me what it means to be an old-fashioned husband, old-fashioned provider. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, yeah. You know, my grandpops, man, he was an awesome man, yeah. And he taught me by example, led by example. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so.
And what's crazy is there's certain parallels between you, and you'll be the first person that we have on the show that goes through this, between you and our grandfather, is that technically, by blood, that's not your grandfather.
No.
It's not, because his mother, you know, his mother was not my grandfather's daughter by blood, you know, but he took care of her just like everybody else. You can't tell him that's not his daughter, and that's the same way that happens with you. Yeah, with your child.
Yeah, my oldest daughter. You know, she's my bonus daughter. That's my baby. You know, that term step parent or whatever. That's something that, you know, heck, it pains me to say it now. You know what I mean? Right. But you know, my grandfather just taught me, man. You know. Just because you, well, here's the thing. Let me see if I can put this into words.
Go for it.
Being a parent to your biological child, that's an assumed responsibility. That's something you should do. Yep. You know, but being a parent and helping to raise someone that you didn't birth, that's special. You know what I mean? Like, I love my cousin to death, love my family to death, but you don't get to choose those people to be in your life. So the relationships you build outside of your family, outside of your bloodline, those are more special. You know, so me being able to impart knowledge and, you know, help to raise her and guide her, yeah, that has meant the world to me, and I know it's because of my grandfather's.
It's interesting that you say that about your grandfather, because I take a story back from my wife and her grandfather. And so he was one of the first people outside of my own family that I seen that you can barely tell a differentiation between blood and not blood. Yeah. Because it goes to the character of the man that makes the comfortability of everyone feel like they're at home. And so to be able to do that, I always give kudos, because that's a different type of man. Yeah. You know what I mean? So that I love hearing that story, because it takes me back home. It takes me back to my own home when I talk to my wife about her grandfather, and when she lost her father when she was super young, and then how her grandfather and her grandparents took them in and just basically was that filling that gap, but you couldn't tell the difference. And I I always tip my hat to that situation. So
and it's tough, because it made me reevaluate myself as I got older, because it made me be like, I used to say things like, I'm not dating a chick with a kid. That's just not going to happen. You know what I mean? Especially when I didn't have kids. Like, I ain't going to date, like, but my grandfather, like, my aunts, like, those are his kids. Like, there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. But if he would have been the same way, then where would I be? You know what I mean? I wouldn't even be here. Yeah. I wouldn't be here. My grandmother had, like I said before, she had 3 girls, and he came in. Right. He came in and he did it, and he did it. And you raised yours since she was what, 1?
Yeah, Troy was 14 months.
So let's
14. And let's level set 2 more bonus kids. Yeah.
Level set for how many kids do you have?
6 total.
6 total. Okay.
Yeah. 3 bonus and 3 biological.
So. Your first child was a girl?
Yeah.
Now.
Yeah.
So look, so this is always because my first child was a girl too.
Yeah, man.
Mine too.
And as dudes,
it was trash.
I ain't gonna say I was trash, but I want the best human being. Let me say it that way. Yeah. So I'm gonna ask you the same way me and AJ talk. How did having a girl early change you?
Man, It may
because you ain't far away from. If you raise him, I know you ain't far away from him. So
I guess I'm not gonna say karma because it wasn't a bad thing, but you know, all the wrongs that I had, you know, done prior to her being born, that kind of, you know, righted, if that's a word,
it's good enough right now.
All of my shortcomings and all of my indiscretions, you know. When the very first moment I held her, man, it's like, man, I gotta live for someone else, man, you know. And I do believe that had I had a boy first, Man, I don't want to say the wrong thing, but it's like,
listen,
you know.
You can say it.
Yeah, man.
We both nodding our head because we agree. I know exactly where you're going.
Man. Yeah. Like, you know, I'm gonna believe. I believe in God, you know, and I think that everything is done, you know, in its time. And I believe that I had a daughter because that was the point in my life that God said, okay, let me go ahead and help him out.
Yep.
Let me get him on the right path. Because had I had a son, man, I mean, I would have just...
You want to slow down?
Yeah, I would have kept doing what I was doing.
I'm going to tell you what I always say. I always say my daughter saved me.
Yeah.
Because the path that I was going down was kind of destructive to a certain extent.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, and that's just growth. Mm-hmm. And so when you look back at it, when was that first moment you realized that you was a dad or a father? Like what moment struck you?
The first time my daughter said Dada. You know what I mean? That's when it really like said, I knew I was a father, you know, up to that point. But the first time she said those words, man, you know, it solidified that whole little process there. You know what I mean? Yeah, man. Everything about my daughter, man, it just, yeah. But that moment, and then, you know, of course, first time you take them to the doctors to get shots, immunizations, and all that stuff, and they're crying and
the shots,
and they're reaching for daddy, rather than mommy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So
like you supposed to make it all better.
Yeah, man. You know,
with
all that
earrings.
stuff.
Go to the mall and get the little earrings.
Or the first time it's the middle of the night sickness and you really don't have the answer.
Yeah.
And it kind of tugs at you a little bit. It's like it'll make a grown man shove the thug to you real quick because that pain you can't do nothing about.
Yeah, man. And you feel like you're supposed to be a protector. Man. You know what I mean? Yeah, man. I can't even put that into words, man. I could probably write it down, but I can't express it verbally.
I know, you're doing a good job.
I guess that's still the man's man in me. I don't want to be, you know.
It's that old school methodology passed down from your grandfather. I got you.
Yeah, man. I love all my kids, but the daughters are special. The daughters are special. They'll take care of their father, man. And you know, if your daughter writes you off, you have failed. You know what I mean?
Wow.
If your daughter writes you, you know, because man, it's just a different. I don't know, man. I love them all equally, but my daughters, man, they do something to me. It just makes me want to be the perfect person all the time. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know, it makes me rethink things that maybe I would just, you know, do on a whim.
Right.
Like, nah, that didn't make sense.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You know?
So on to that. When was the first time that you really felt like you were a parent to your bonus daughter?
Ah, man, she was at the potty training stage. And her mother, you know, had tried to, you know, potty train her or whatever. And she was like, I can't do it. She just sits on the pot for, you know, an hour and does nothing.
Yep.
So,
God, that's the worst.
yeah, so I didn't know what to do, man. So I just went in there and I sat on the toilet, you know. I didn't know what to do, man, you know. Now, I didn't pull my pants down and I don't want y'all to get, you know, concerned. I sat on the toilet, you know what I mean, with my pants on. And, you know, I was like, you know, Daddy's going to sit here, you know, because I got to use the bathroom too. You know, she was so young, she didn't realize I still had my clothes on. And she used the bathroom, man, you know. Then she started clapping. And that became my little thing, you know. We would clap, and she'd say, yeah, Dad, you know.
You would clap or you go there and sit on the toilet every day?
I would go and sit on the toilet for like, it was like maybe a week and a half, 2 weeks I had to do that. But then after that, man, she would go in there by herself, and every time she would use the bathroom, Daddy, you know. And, you know.
Yeah,
I think that was it, yeah.
You remember, it's crazy, you remember little moments about like using the bathroom and stuff. I remember when I moved back from North Carolina, and my son was staying with me, and he went to go pee. And I saw this boy sit down on the toilet.
Like, nah, Junior.
And I was like, oh my God, have I been gone this long?
You failed.
I felt so bad. I was like, what are you doing?
Yeah, I'd have took the toilet out of the house.
Like, what are you doing? And then, you know, and then I remember one time when I had him over there in my bedroom, you could just look right in there. I was happy as hell. I just see him in there peeing, standing on his little tippy toes.
Yeah.
Can't really make it, but he's standing on his
Pissing everywhere.
Yeah, but he's doing it. He's standing up.
Yeah.
He ain't sitting down.
Yeah.
I'd rather clean this up than you sit the hell down.
Yeah.
Like,
Good job, Junior. Yeah.
I just can't.
Let me ask you something. This is a little. I know we have fun all the time, but I got a serious question for you. So when you describe your grandfather and the manly man and the old school way of growing up, if you could describe the purpose of a father in your own words, what would you say?
Provider, protector. Guidance counselor, psychiatrist. You know what I mean? Like plumber. I don't know.
Everything.
Gardener. Everything, man. Yeah. I mean, yeah. That's a better way. You're everything. Yeah. That's how.
So because and the part of the reason why I asked that question is, in your personal opinion, where does friend come into that equation?
Man, I guess when they reach that age, when they reach that age that they start to, and this is unfortunate, but you know, when they reach that age to where maybe their self-esteem is a challenge or whatever, and you know, the outside world starts to, you know, make them doubt certain things, maybe influence certain, you know, situations or whatever. And, you know, if you've done a good job, if you know, did the things you were supposed to do, they'll come in, you know, have a conversation with their friend. Right. You know, they'll ask you, they won't say it verbally, but they'll, you know, back and forth, they'll ask you to set aside the, you know, the parent and just be someone I can confide in and maybe, you know, give me some feedback that'll, you know, help guide my decision. You know
that's
what I mean?
really important.
Yeah.
Yeah, because that one of the reasons why I asked that question is because I'm from the country, so everybody know I'm from the country.
Yeah.
But we initially are taught that fathers are fathers first. That friendship thing is not the first thing that we think about.
Yeah.
And at times what happens is that the lines of communication get kind of distorted. Like, we don't really wouldn't pay attention to a whole lot of the sensitive stuff. It's like, yo, I'm like you said, list the whole list, but that whole communication and friendship thing, it doesn't come until you get a little bit older. Yeah. You know what I mean? Because it's certain boundaries that we got to make sure that we set.
Yeah. Like, you're the groundskeeper, man.
Yeah, no, let's hold off on some of that.
So is it easier for me? I feel like I do a good job of doing it with both of them. But do you feel like it's been easier for you to do that with your daughter as opposed to your son? And are you instilling your sons? Yeah, and you're instilling. You say the man's man thing, right? Do you feel like you instill that into your son, or do you feel like he's still able to be comfortable to talk and express himself?
Oh, that's a good one.
Oh man. Yeah, man.
You got to answer, because I heard you just laugh. Whatever that laugh was that came into your mind, go ahead and let that one out.
Now, here's what I'll say. I'll say that I tried to do the same thing with my son, but at the same time, because I'm a man's man, I can be honest here. I was a little tougher on my son, and certain things I maybe didn't allow him to, express to me.
Yep.
But here lately, because he's 21, we have had conversations, and I'm like, dang, man, I probably should have, done a little better. But yeah, I'll say I extended the same courtesy to him, but it was,
boundaries.
Yeah.
Limits.
Yeah.
Because
because I hate to say this, but I wanted to incite fear in my son more so than my daughters, obviously. You know what I mean? I wanted my son to, know that I was the man. God damn it, because that boy, like he 6'2" or some shit like that right now.
Try you.
Yeah, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That was a grown ass man up in my house, man. So I had to make sure, hey man, don't cross that goddamn line, boy.
Yeah.
So every so often I would hit him in his chest.
Cave it a little
Yeah.
bit. That's how we grew up.
What you doing,
Yeah,
man?
that's how we grew up. Yeah. Oh, nah.
Yeah, you know what I mean? So, but it was all out of love, though. You know what I mean? It was all out of love. Just making sure he was good, But yeah, that's my man. That's my little soldier.
And how were you able to do that? Speaking of, you said you're a little soldier. That's perfect, because what I was going to ask you, how are you able to do that when you're gone? Like you're not gone 200 miles, 300 miles. You're gone 8,000, 10,000 miles away.
Yeah.
Multiple. And how many times were you gone that long? Or that
6. 6. Yeah, 6. 3 Iraq, 3 Afghanistan. The Iraq deployments were a little harder, because that was, between 2003 and 2007, and heck, I can remember my first deployment. We still had dial-up internet. You know what I mean? So
the AOL.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
And you just have to log on, whatever, and leave, then come back like 10, 15 minutes later, and a page would load up. And then you got to type whatever, hit send, leave, come back. 10 minutes later, and it says sent. You know what I mean? So it was challenging, a lot more challenging, my first few deployments. But, I would write letters, man. At the time I was married to his mother, and, I was writing letters almost every day. She was writing letters to me, and, I would, put things in a letter that she could, share with my kids or whatever. Right. But then when I deployed to Afghanistan, things were a lot better as far as communication or whatever. So I was able to FaceTime them and all that kind of stuff. And mostly, man, just because I'm not going to say I was the disciplinarian, but because I was the head or whatever, I would mostly talk to my kids, which is unfortunate. I would talk to them or have to talk to them when something maybe wasn't going right, because they were in private school. So, when you're paying for your kid to go to school, man, you don't have time for C's and D's. And,
not at all.
Progress reports that aren't what they're supposed to be, So, I'd make sure I call, regardless of what was going on. I'd make sure I called and be like, hey, boy, what the hell going on? You know what I mean? We got down, and, that's how I'd, communicate things with him on deployments. It was, it was difficult, but, because I expressed my love openly with my kids, it wasn't something that, really took away from our relationships, whatever. So.
Now, that's a contradiction in there now. A manly man expressing their love openly.
Yeah, but
that's maturity right there, though.
Yeah, man, because I want them to know that you could be a man's man, but you shouldn't hold back expressing how you feel about a person. Yep. You know what I mean?
Really
because
important.
At the end of the day, that affects, like I said, self-esteem, man. You know what I mean? You want your kids to know how it feels to be loved unconditionally. Because the world is going to love you on conditions. You want them to know how it feels to be loved all the time. Even in the bad times when you make a mistake, you want to know that, hey, I love you so much that I've forgotten about what it is you did. You know what I mean? So Yeah, I express my love for my kids all the time, man. Family too, man. That's just how I am, you know.
So when you talk about your deployments and the challenges of I'm not gonna put words in your mouth, but the I assume, okay, so you correct me if I'm wrong. The assumption of not always being present physically, but finding another way to be present through calls, through FaceTime, through letters or whatever.
Yeah.
But internally, how did you handle it? Did you feel like you were, even though you were trying, did you still feel like you were
coming up short?
Present? Yeah.
Yeah, I still felt like I was coming up short.
Mm.
Yeah. Yeah, I felt like I was coming up short. And, you know, military people, I know they can understand this. It's like, because you get like briefings and all this other stuff when you return from deployments, and they'll tell you that you can't make up for lost time.
Right.
You know, but a habit is that you'll return home and everything your kids ask for, you get them. You know.
Overcompensate.
Yeah. You know what I mean? So I did do that. You know, I did do that through all my deployments. Every time I came back, man, it was whatever they wanted, wherever they wanted to go. You know, because that's just in me, man. I tried to make up for that lost time, you know, and I just wanted them to know that, you know, hey, your dad is your dad, whether I'm here or not, right. You know, because just because of the business I was in at that time, you know, odds are I could have, you know, died, you know, and you know, I wanted them to remember the good times, you know, the times we had together or whatever. So, yeah.
Makes sense. Yeah. So do you feel like you being deployed led to you not really being the disciplinarian, or it is just your relationship at the time that kind of fueled that?
Yeah, I think for maybe the first like month or so, when I returned from deployments, I wasn't the disciplinarian because I didn't want their first memory of me to be, or their first interaction with me to be me telling them, you know, what they did wrong or whatever, you know. So I let certain things slide. But yeah, for the first month or two upon returning, yeah, I'd assume that role. But yeah.
Got you.
Yeah, man, y'all killing me with these.
Hey man, look, we have the one thing.
I get emotional about my kids.
See,
man.
and that's the thing. Part of why we started this is because we really want authentic conversation about fatherhood. Because all of our stories are unique. I don't care how similar we are.
Yeah.
Our fatherhood is unique, and our stories are authentic. So, you know, we love having these conversations, and your answers are true to you.
Yeah.
And so, you know, your answers are great.
It's gonna be true to a lot of people. Like, I mean,
a lot of people.
If you're in the military, they know what you're talking about. Like, I don't have it to the same extent, but I know when I was gone, I was depressed.
Yeah.
Like missing my kids and all that other stuff. But I could be depressed and then just go home and go to sleep. Like, you got to make sure you can be depressed, but goddamn it, you got to be on your P's and Q's every single day.
Yeah.
Or your ass will never see them again.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, man, being in the military and being on deployment, that's equivalent to being in prison. Because you can't go and, you know, as you please, and come as you please. You know what I mean? You're still confined to a certain area. Everybody's trying to kill you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it messes with you.
That's very interesting. That's very interesting, and it leads to one other thing. So when you come back, right? There's two things that I want to ask you. One, do you have to reprogram yourself to be more open and be prepared and be there present? And then two, do you have to basically reintroduce yourself each time you get back to your kids, even though they are your kids, but you're always different when you come.
Yeah. That reintegration, that's key. Yeah, that's key when you return from deployment. You know, you got to take baby steps because you know, you're getting to know each other all over again. Because, you know, heck, one of my deployments I was gone 14 months. You know what I mean? So that's 2 Christmases. You know what I mean? And kids can grow a lot in 14 months, man.
Right.
So the dynamic changes a bit. You gotta, man, that mess it's tough, man. I don't even know how to put that into words, but you just gotta take things slow and get to know them where they are at that point in their life. You know what I mean? So
got you.
Yeah,
And
you change as well.
You got into the military because of your kids, correct?
Yeah, and you know what? My grandpops,
Yeah.
He cause I was a knucklehead. Well, I was a knucklehead. I know Reggie knows too. I was a knucklehead when I was young.
What do you mean by that?
Come on, man. Come on, man. That's a terrible question.
Yeah, just so you know, yeah.
What's the terms they use? I was in them streets. You know what I mean? But I had when I tried to get my life together, I up and moved to Virginia from DC, and I had gotten into Norfolk State down there, and I was staying with my grandparents, and lo and behold, met my kid's mother, and we started having kids and shit, and I needed a job.
Oh, you better just start having kids.
Yeah.
Like, bloop, bloop.
Yeah, man. It was like instantaneous, man. It was quick, fast, and I had to get me a guaranteed paycheck, man. You know what I mean? And my grandpops was like, he was like, maybe you should think about going in the military. Like I said, my grandfather, he wasn't a vocal person. He wasn't one that, communicated often. He typically like one word, no. That was about it. Man. You know what I mean? That was it. Or Anna, my grandmother's name. That was about it. But he sat me down and he was like, maybe you should think about going in the military. He was like, you can travel. It's guaranteed paycheck. Wasn't a war going on at the time. You know what I'm saying? So, because of him, I went to the military. Because of him, I married my kid's mother. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Oh, wow.
I went to him and I said, hey, I call him Daddy. I was like, hey, Daddy, you know anybody that's ever been faithful to their wife? And without hesitation, he said, no. Right? But here's the thing, right? Here's the thing about my grandfather, man. This is something I want to express, right? So my grandfather knew at that point that his answer was going to determine what route I went. You know what I mean? So in the instant, he said, you know what? I take that back. I have one friend that I know has never cheated on his wife, never stepped out on his wife. And he was like, they got a big house and they got a business and they got all this money, I was still young enough to where I believed all that shit. You know what I mean? And so I went and married my kid's mother. You know what I mean? Then I went and I married her the day before I went in the Army.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. I went in the Army, man, because I was like, if I'm going to go in the Army, I got to make sure that, I'm able to take care of my kids and see them. So I pretty much, not saying that, I don't want to put that out there. But yeah, you know what I mean?
Right,
yeah. So my grandfather, he helped guide me there. That's what made the decision.
And the reason I didn't go into the military was because of him.
Yeah.
So you had to reverse it.
Yeah. Well, I can express a little bit. At that time, this was 2001, right before the towers fell. Everything. This is when I was about to graduate high school, and I told him I was thinking about going in the military because I had a baby on the way. I had a baby on the way when I was in high school, right? And I was like, I gotta take care of these kids. I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna be a dad. I'm gonna be a parent. I'm gonna go to the military. And I remember my mother. The reason why I got to Howard is because my mother said, just try to go to a local school. You can still be here. And At the time, I had a 1.8 GPA, so I had no idea.
You ain't do nothing.
I had no idea I could even get in. Shout out to Miss Hawkins, who was the director of admissions. I walked into her office on the very last day, talked to her for 2 hours. I guess it was like an on-the-spot interview, and she got me into Howard.
Oh, wow.
And so that's how I ended up at Howard. But I was on my way to the military. He kept telling me, don't do it.
Yeah.
Don't do it. Do not do it. It's not something you need to do. And then, as you can see, I have 2 children. I ain't got a 20-year-old, so, that situation went a whole nother way.
Yeah.
But,
Look, we ain't got to get into all that.
But yeah, he taught me out of going to the military. And then I remember I was here at Howard, a month into being in school, towers fell. We was right there at Founders Library. We could see the thick black smoke from across the street and everything.
Wow.
When the hit the not across the street, but across the bridge when it hit the Pentagon. Yep.
Wow.
Yep. He taught me how to go into the military.
Gotcha. Now every path isn't for everybody, so you got to find your own way. So it's impressive that no matter how much information and how much we find and feed off of one another, we all still veer off slightly, ever so slightly, to make our own path. And we do the same thing with fatherhood. So it's great. But I have one other question that kind of references your grandfather. And when you talk about him, that's a great man from what you're saying and from as far as his impact on you.
Yeah.
Now, what are some of the things that you had to adjust from his lessons to kind of counterbalance with your own kids?
Oh man, damn, that's a good question.
You use more than one word?
Yeah, that's about it, man. That's about it, man. Because I saw no flaws in him. I saw no flaws in anything that he did. My grandfather was perfect, man. He was perfect. He was as perfect can get.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, I didn't have to adjust anything. I still carry everything, every example he set for me. I still carry and live by those to this day. Yeah.
Yeah, that's I told you, that's the impact of great men. And I think a lot of us look back at some of our grandfathers in that same light.
Yeah.
It's something about that generation that has a different like longevity.
Yeah.
And that's the kind of longevity that's gonna get to a question that I have for you. But those stories are great, and I love it, and I feed off of it. And AJ will tell you, we have these conversations all the time.
Yeah, and that's why it's hard for me to hear, like, what's the term, like deadbeat father and stuff like that. It's hard for me to even process that term. You know what I mean? I do feel like that's a term that's only used in our community, but I don't know any of these guys. You know what I mean? Like, I'm 48, man. I'm about to be 49 next month. I don't know any of these guys, man. And
But you know what's funny? If you ask the baby mamas,
yeah,
you know a lot of them niggas.
That's
more of them niggas than you think you know.
And that's
you don't know him
crazy.
like that.
And that's what's crazy, and especially like in a society or in our community to where, we are believers. You know what I mean? Our community, we believe in God. And the person that drives that relationship with God a lot of times in our community are the women.
Yep.
So it's crazy for me when I hear women say deadbeat father, and they try to, some of them try to discredit the role that a man plays in this world. Yet they pray to a man. You know what I mean? All your answers come from a man.
Oh, wait a minute.
You know what I mean?
Hey, no, you look.
Go
ahead and dig deep in that. Go ahead and dig deep.
Saying, man.
Dig deep.
Because I wasn't trying to go to, but
no,
that just popped in my head just now. So
look, I tell AJ all the time, I freestyle a lot too, and that's a deep conversation right there, because it and again it kind of goes back to what the reason why we started this. That term deadbeat didn't come from a dude.
It definitely didn't.
It didn't come from our lips. It didn't come from our story. And that's the whole purpose of what this platform is about, is telling our stories.
Yeah.
So,
you know what's crazy? Now that you say that, I've really never heard a guy, even if their father wasn't around, say, "Nah, my dad was a deadbeat."
Yeah.
They be like, he wasn't around. But I've heard women, "Nah, I have a deadbeat dad."
That's not a masculine term. Like, let's be honest.
Yeah.
Ain't no dude gonna go around calling another dude a deadbeat.
Yeah.
Unless he's trying to get action.
Yeah.
Yeah,
He's trying to throw salt in the game.
Oh yeah.
So that's where that kind of comes from.
Oh,
No self-respecting man is gonna say that about another man.
You trying to lay down.
Yeah. You trying to snatch something. You know.
That deadbeat nigga calling you again.
Yeah.
Oh, now I wouldn't use it that way. That's the.
I mean, I ain't say not use it.
Yeah, you sound like you use that from experience.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, AJ, don't start telling on yourself. Look, I know you got a little G on you, but that's bad game right there, buddy.
I don't do that.
All right, good.
Yeah, but I was in that as I went through that divorce, man, I was, considered that for a bit. You know what I mean? So yeah, that shit bothers me.
You know who you are, though. Your kids know who you are.
Yeah. And that's the other thing that, look, we don't sit up here trying to validate anybody.
Not at all.
We not. I'm not gonna sit here and say, "Yo, you're an amazing father," or "Yo, you ain't there." That's not my job.
Yeah.
Your kids are your judges at the end of the day, and you know what you've done, and that whole narrative that's painted about us, and like you said, you went through it.
Yeah.
You didn't paint that for yourself. You know what I mean? So So keep doing what you're doing.
And you said you learned so much from our grandfather. How do you feel being a grandfather now?
Oh man, that's almost better than being a father, man. Cause I just
in the back.
Yeah, man. I could just spoil a man and bow, send him back to the house, man. Yeah, that's my little man right there. Oh, Shiloh. Yeah, it feels great, man. Feels great. Yeah,
The new life.
Yeah, because life is good right now. Life is real good, and that's one of the things that I really appreciate about life right now, is that I'm able to, is that my life has slowed down a bit, and now I can just go out and just spoil my grandson.
Right.
I'm waiting to have some more grandchildren. You know what I mean? So yeah, that's my man. That's awesome.
And so you also have bonus children again now.
Yeah, Michael and
Right.
Morgan. Yeah.
And you have a relationship with their father.
Yeah. Oh, E, man. All right. That's my man.
So how does that, and how important of a role is that now they know where everyone stands with each other? Like a good, positive relationship among two black men when it comes to raising these children.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure it what's that blended family. That it takes a community to raise kids, and that's what we're doing. That's what I'll step in when I need to, or when they ask me to, but their biological father is there every day. We share responsibilities. Like Michael plays football, so I'll take him to football practice. Eric will show up. We'll sit back and watch Mike practice. We go to the games together. Morgan is like, she reminds me of Maya. She's bright and brutally honest. You know what I mean? All those things you appreciate about girls. So yeah, that whole dynamic is like, it's only going to make their lives better. Seeing positive. Can't even find a word, but it's a relationship between me and their biological father. And seeing all of us come together. We come together quite often. We go out. So I'm sure it's going to have a tremendous impact in their life and how they treat other people. You know what I mean?
Did it start out that way?
Yeah.
So that's good that it did. Now the follow up to that is, how do
he even came to our wedding? Him and his fiance.
See, that's next level right there.
Yeah, there was
next
that.
level.
Him and his fiance was at the wedding.
Yeah.
So how do you because we all have egos.
Yeah.
How do you make sure that you keep ego out of it to make sure that it stays positive?
Ah, man. I don't know, man. That's a good damn question. I don't know, man. Like, my ego is so big that
that's what made me ask you that question.
It isn't affected at all by other people, and I don't force my personality on other people. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not conceited, but I guess well, you know what I mean? Like, that's not the right term, but
close.
The cousin of it.
Yeah. I'm conceited, but I'm humble.
I'm gonna give you what I say, people.
Humility
I'm the most conceited, arrogant, humble person you ever
Exactly.
meet. So I
go.
got you. That's why I can ask that question, because I got the energy. I feel you.
Yeah.
How did you incorporate in your role when that happened with you?
What?
Situation.
Nah. So
I'm guessing it wasn't quite the same.
It wasn't quite the same. I wasn't always the best at it, because at the time my ego wasn't. My ego has always been big. Everybody that knows me know I ain't worth a damn, to be honest with you. But I always felt like I was better than I'm good at everything.
Yeah.
But I wasn't always good at communication and allowing other people in. And so I wasn't really good at it for the longest, because I was like, nah, that's my daughter. I know what's best for my daughter. I really don't acknowledge other people, and that was a mistake on my end. And so if I would have took me out of the equation, our relationship, and it's never been a real negative, it just hasn't been existent. And so that was all on me, because I'm like, man, come on. I know what I'm doing. I don't need you. But at the same time, I think it hurt my daughter in the long run, because it wasn't until I matured a little bit more to realize, I think, and it actually came from my wife. My wife used to tell me all the time, like, yo, we should do counseling, or we should do remediation and talk and get everybody on the same page. But my agging ass was like, nah, I don't need that. I know what we doing. We got this under control.
Yeah.
And to be honest with you, that's the first you got me, because I've never admitted that I made the mistake there.
Yeah.
So you slick little
you
joker. I got you. I got you. But yeah. So I make mistakes too. You know what I mean? Yeah, you got me. I'm gonna get your little ass back.
Who you asking? You asking me
what? You got me. That's all right, you little slick fucker.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I'm asking that from y'all, because I haven't been in that situation.
Well,
yet,
wait,
so.
and I can't wait till you in your little.
I
can't wait.
Listen, me too.
That's when you're a real parent, man.
Yeah.
Parenting, man.
Parenting is a lot of work.
Hell yeah.
You used to say you're not a parent until you have
At
3
least
kids?
2. At least 2, man. You got 1 kid, man. You just a babysitter. Like, you don't have to parent, man. You know who the fuck broke it. You know whose shit this is on the floor.
You only got one personality to deal with.
You know what I mean? Well, you got more than one. You got to do
I'm
some
gonna start using
investigating
that one.
and
I'm gonna
shit.
start using that one.
Yeah, that's when you become a real parent. When you got to, manage several personalities. You know what I mean?
How do you do that, from your perspective?
See, I'm able to adjust to a person's personality, and like my oldest daughter, she was attentive, responsible. My middle daughter, she was honest and had the biggest heart. My son, he was a boy. He was doing dumb shit, and as a matter of fact, I had nicknames for the mugs when they were little. When it was just the 3 of them, it was Buck, Fluck, and Duck. And it was like, Buck, that was Maya, because she lost her 2 front teeth 2 years before she should have.
Oh, so she
So
was
she had
walking
to
around.
walk around, And then Katori, she was Luck, because nothing bad ever happened to her. You know what I mean? And then Malik, he was duck, because we had this this is back in the day. We had this glass table in the dining room, and he was like 2. Every time he would run down the hall to his room, man, he would hit his head on the corner of this table, and I kept saying, "Duck, man, duck." That boy ain't listen because he's a fucking boy, man. So, but yeah, I just adjusted people's personalities, man. You know, it's a vibe or whatever. You know what I mean? But yeah, Maya, I could put her in her place and ruin her whole week by saying, "I'm disappointed in you."
That's powerful though.
Yeah, and she'd do that fucking cry, man. That shit, I'd get her, man, right there, and she would tell me the truth. She wouldn't just say, if I'd be like, "Who did this?" She wouldn't give me that bullshit answer like, "I don't know." You know what I mean? Or not me. You know what I mean? She would say, "Who did it, Katori? Malik? Or I did it." She'd be like, "I'm sorry, Dad. I did it." And it was just amazing, man. You know what I mean? So, their personalities, and even right now, man, they're still the exact same way. And my youngest bonus kids now, I know them. Morgan is, she's not needy. That's not the right word, but she requires a lot of attention, right?
I mean, you can say high maintenance.
Yeah. You know what I mean? But she is an artist, man. She's an artist. That girl she paints and stuff. That girl is an artist, man. And their grandfather was an artist. He passed last year. But yeah, she's got the gift. Michael, he's the needy one. He's the needy one. He demands attention. He needs it. You know what I mean? Because he's the youngest. And then Sanaa is my youngest biological. And had she been first, I wouldn't have had any more kids.
It must have been a lot of work.
Hell yeah.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Every once in a while, it's that one child that comes along that, from the get, you're like, "Nah, fuck this shit." You know what I mean?
Hey, that's real, though.
You go to doctors and you like, "Man, take this shit out of me, man." You know what I mean? Don't just clip them. Take my balls. I don't mean, you know what I mean? Because she was, that girl, boy, she was a crybaby from birth, But that's my baby, love her. Yeah.
That's the way my son is.
Yeah.
I say that all the time. If my daughter was a perfect baby, right? But if my son was born first and I had to deal with the way he acted, I probably would have one child right now.
Well, you say that. Wait till your daughter hurts you when she get a little bit older. Wait. That shit hurt, buddy. I don't know if you ever been there. You go through certain situations with a little girl, boy. It'll hurt you a little bit now, cause you that's your princess.
Yeah.
But I can't wait till you experience that.
Yeah, I experienced that shit a few times. I remember when Katoy was like I told you, they went in private school. And Katoy was 12, right? And she had a cell phone, and I had the passcode, and I went in the cell phone because she had done something at school, and the mother took her cell phone. I had her cell phone. I was a punk, man. I oftentimes sneaked them their stuff back after their mother took their stuff. But anyway, in this one particular instance, I was going to give her a cell phone back. So I went to the cell phone. I see these goddamn messages, right? And this shit said Jamie. So initially, I thought it was a girl at first, right? But as I scrolled through the message, I was like, man, this is a motherfucking little boy. I was like, well, yeah, I'm about to fuck this motherfucker up. So I told her mother and shit, and she talked to Katoria or whatever, and made her cry or whatever. So I let that die down. I went like the next day, and I said, Katoria, I was like, you like this little boy? And with no hesitation, she said yes. And I said, that's exactly why you shouldn't be messing with her. Because you ain't smart enough to fucking tell me no. So I fucking took that cell phone, man. I had that motherfucker so long, I forgot I had her cell phone, man. Hell no. And I was looking for that little motherfucker too. He played like soccer and shit at the school, yeah. I remember that shit. If she sees this, I know she gonna fucking trip out about it. Yeah.
She wasn't smart enough to lie to you.
Yeah, that's when I was like, nah, you ain't ready to mess with boys. You know what I mean? Like, I expected her to say, no, I don't like him. He's just a friend. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But she was like, yes. I was like, what the fuck?
Oh yeah, that mean it can. Yeah, you gotta be careful with that.
Yeah, I was like, hell nah, you about to be goddamn goofy out here for these motherfuckers. Hell nah. I tried to raise them to be, stuck up and shit, so they have higher standards. Don't go out here trying to be liked by these motherfuckers. Make them work. You know what I mean? Fuck that. Yeah. That's it.
So I have a question. You've been a father for a long time, right? And we have a lot of people that listen to this that aren't even fathers yet, right? And let's say you're about to be an aspiring father or a young father. You just had a child. What advice would you give them?
Get your finances in order. Set aside some, like, take that 10 or 20% of your pay right now, right? If the baby's on the way and you got 9 months, 8 months, go ahead, set aside 20% of your salary or pay monthly. Set it aside and just let it stay there, right? Then when your child comes into the world, get that 529, is it 529? The 529
the college fund.
Yeah.
College fund. I know Gerber used to have something similar, you know what I mean? But get that 529, and then, read. Well, nowadays you got YouTube, you know what I mean?
You got us.
Man, yeah.
Yeah.
I got all the advice you need.
Yeah.
Ask me any question. I give you an answer.
Yeah, shit.
Yeah, but get your damn finances ready, because, I mean, especially when you're a young parent, man, when you're a young parent and, the child isn't planned, and maybe you don't have a career at that point. Maybe you just have a job. Maybe you're working a couple jobs. It's those times when you driving on the fucking highway and you blow out all 4 tires. You know what I mean? And you got $38. You know what I mean?
Yep.
And your child is in the car seat in the back. You know what I mean? You want to give up on life at that point. You know what I mean? So set your finances up so that when things like that happen, won't be a big issue, big deal or whatever. You'll be able to just handle it as a father should and, keep it moving, man. You don't want to add, because it's going to be enough headaches. You know what I mean? You don't want to add anything. You don't want to be worried about anything. Last thing you want to do is worry.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
So you went down a whole list of stuff. You didn't add financial advisor to the
yeah.
the
I mean, yeah.
You ain't add that in there now.
Get you a financial advisor, man.
Yeah.
You get you one of them gifted financial advisors, man. You know what I mean? Yeah. Get you one of them. Because you definitely want somebody to tell you what to do with your money.
Yeah.
That knows how to manage money. You know what I
Gotcha.
mean? Because you don't know how to manage money when you're young.
Yeah.
So
That's true.
So we talked about a lot of stuff today, and one of the common things is, like I told you, it was your grandfather.
yeah.
So when you gone, what you want your legacy as a father to be?
Oh man, that I gave my all. And if I failed at anything in life, it's not at being a father. I obviously failed as a husband before.
Me too.
Yeah.
It's constant work.
Yeah. Failed at my
I failed
job.
to get there.
Yeah.
We know.
Yeah. Failed at my job, all kinds of shit, But didn't fail as a father, man. I believe I set, examples. I may have done some things wrong, but my kids are so fucking smart. Kids today are so fucking smart. I mean, I'm sure they're able to, extrapolate, things that they could benefit from, from things I failed at. You know what I mean? So, yeah. I want my legacy to be that I was a hell of a father. Yeah.
That's good stuff right there, man.
Yeah, I took care of my babies, yeah.
Good.
That's good. Well, we appreciate it, man.
Oh yeah, appreciate you.
Yeah.
Hey man, it was a great conversation, man.
Oh yes, sir.
Look, appreciate your time.
Oh yeah.